In this lecture, we will discuss another very important ode written by John Keats, and the name of that ode is Ode to Psyche. I think you are already familiar with ode. Ode is a type of poem which is always addressed to a person or thing. For example, this poem is addressed to Psyche, and Psyche is the goddess of mind and soul. And ode has a universal theme. It is quite serious. So these are some of the important features of ode. And Ode to Psyche is one of the six very famous odes written by John Keats. Do you know John Keats? He wrote Ode to Psyche first of all. Means the first ode which John Keats wrote, it was Ode to Psyche, but it was published at last. It was written first of all, but it was published after the five odes were published. Now, this ode is divided into five stanzas of various length. Means in each and every stanza, the number of lines are not fixed. Now, in this ode, John Keats, he decides to worship the neglected goddess Psyche, because I have just informed you in Greek mythology, Psyche is the goddess of mind and soul. And you know that John Keats was a great lover of Greek art, literature, and culture. And that's why his poems are full of so many examples, so many allusions to Greek mythology, to Greek literature and culture. And in this poem, John Keats, he decided to worship the neglected goddess Psyche. We will talk about the story of Psyche. So before we discuss the poem, I want to talk about the story Psyche. Actually, Psyche, she had been the daughter of a king, and Psyche was really very beautiful. So you know that in Greek mythology, there is the goddess of love and beauty, and the name of that goddess is Aphrodite. So Aphrodite was jealous of Psyche because Psyche was so much beautiful, and that's why Aphrodite, she sent her son Cupid. Cupid, you know, in Greek mythology, Cupid is known as the god of love. So she sent her son Cupid in order to punish Psyche. But when Cupid he saw Psyche, so Cupid he fell in love with Psyche. And later on, Cupid and Psyche they married, and Psyche she became a goddess. So that's the story of Psyche. So Psyche is the latest goddess, and that's why nobody worships Psyche. There's no temple in this world for Psyche. There are no priests of Psyche. And in this point, John Keats he decides that he will become Psyche's priest. He will worship Psyche. He will build a temple for Psyche, not on the earth, but in his mind. So, in this way, Keats he decides to worship the neglected goddess Psyche. Now, this is the first stanza. In the first stanza, John Keats he describes his coming across two figures, means two persons or two figures he comes across. Now, how does John Keats start this poem? Oh goddess, hear these tuneless numbers, rung by sweet enforcement and remembrance dear, and pardon that thy secret should be sung, even into thy own soft conch ear. Means he addresses the goddess Psyche. He addresses Psyche and calls her a goddess, and requests goddess Psyche to hear or to listen his poem. And hear these tuneless numbers. Here, tuneless number stands for unmusical poem, because you know that John Keats is talking to a goddess. So, in front of goddess, how can he say that his poem is excellent? And that's why he has deliberately used the word tuneless. Means he wants to tell the goddess that his poem is unmusical. His poem is not splendid. So tuneless number stands for unmusical poem, means an ordinary poem. So he requests the goddess to hear or to listen his poem, wrung by sweet enforcement and remembrance dear. Here, remembrance stands for memories. He says that he has written this poem with his sweet memories. So he has written this poem from his experience, from his memories, from his dear memories. So that's the meaning of these two lines. So he requests goddess Psyche to hear or to listen his poem, unmusical poem, an ordinary poem which he has written from his feelings, from his dear feelings, emotions, and images. And now what does he say in the through the next two lines? And pardon that thy secret should be sung, even into thine own soft conched ear. Soft here, conch means the ear of goddess. They have the shape of the conch. Similarly, we have also ear. So our ears are also like conch-like. Conch is a musical instrument. And John Keats, he feels sorry. He requests forgiveness and pardon, means he requests Psyche, goddess Psyche, to forgive him. Because in his poem, he is going to talk about Psyche's secret. He is going to talk about Psyche's life. And pardon that thy secret should be sung, means he requests forgiveness from Psyche, from the goddess Psyche, that in his poem, he is going to talk about Psyche's secret, even into thine own soft conch ear. Means he tells the Psyche that he is going to write a poem about Psyche. So he is going to write in this poem about Psyche's life, about Psyche's secret. And that's why he requests forgiveness from the goddess Psyche, that goddess Psyche should forgive him for you for writing a poem about the Psyche's life or revealing Psyche's life to the people. Now, what does he says in the next two lines? Surely I dreamt today, or did I see the winged Psyche with awakened eyes? Now, try to understand. Can say that trance. He is not a so Psyche in reality with his eyes, or did he dream about Psyche? And that's why John Keats is in the state of trance. He's not able to decide whether he saw Psyche with his own eyes or whether he saw Psyche in his dream. Surely I dreamt today, or did I see the winged Psyche with awakened eyes? Then what does he tell in the next line? I wandered in a forest thoughtlessly, and on the sudden, fainting with surprise, saw two fair creatures couched side by side in deepest grass, beneath the whispering roof of leaves and trembled blossoms, where there ran a brooklet scarce espied. Now try to understand. He says that one day he was wandering in a forest. Thoughtlessly means without any aim. So one day John Keats was wandering in the forest, and all of a sudden he saw two fair creatures, means he saw two beautiful persons. He saw two beautiful creatures. All of a sudden means suddenly he saw two beautiful creatures, and he was surprised to see this, fainting with surprise. that he was wandering in a forest one day, and all of a sudden he was surprised to see two beautiful creatures. These two beautiful creatures, they were lying next to each other, couched side by side, means these two beautiful figures, they were lying next to each other or close to each other in deepest grass. They were lying close to each other, where? On the grass and under the tree. What is that? Beneath the whispering roof of leaves and trembled blossom. Blossom means flower. Beneath means under. So here he's talking about the roof of leaves means trees. And the trees where blossoms, they blow up. So he says that he saw two beautiful figures, he saw two beautiful creatures who were lying close to each other. They were lying on the deep grass, and they were lying under the trees, which was full of leaves and flowers, where there ran a brooklet. Brooklet means a small river. He says that nearby a river was also flowing. A river was also blowing, scarce espied. Espied means seen, but John Keats says that that river was not so much visible. So nearby a small stream was also blowing. So this is the first stanza in which John Keats, he talks about his coming across two figures. And he also tells that in this poem, he is going to talk about Psyche. He is going to talk about Psyche's life. Now, what happens in second stanza? Now, John Keats, he describes those two figures in detail. He describes the scene which he hinted in the first stanza. In the second stanza, he describes the scene in detail, and he describes the two beautiful creatures. Who are those two beautiful creatures? Now, what does he say? Mid hushed, cool-rooted flowers, fragrant eye, blue, silver, white, and budded tyrant. They lay calm breathing on the bedded grass, their arms embraced and their pinions too. Now try to understand. Pinions here stands for wings. Because Psyche had wings, Cupid had wings. Mid-hushed means in the middle. These two beautiful creatures, they were lying in the middle of flowers, means all around them there were flowers, cool flowers were there, fragrant flowers were there. So they were lying in the middle of a fragrant flowers. And these flowers were of different color. These flowers were of blue, silver, white, and budded tyrant. Tyrant is a type of flower which has purple color. So he says that these two beautiful creatures, they were lying in the middle of the flowers, in the middle of fragrant flowers, and these flowers were of different color. They were of blue, silver, white, and purple color. They lay calm breathing, means they were lying there calmly on the bedded grass. That line we also discussed in the first stanza, that they were lying on the bedded grass, means they were lying on the grass and they were heaving, or they were taking calm breath. Their arms embraced and their pinion too. Pinion here stands for wings. That these two creatures, they were embracing each other. They were in embracing position. Their arms and their wings, they were around them. They were around them, means they were embracing their arms and their wings, means they were in embracing position. Now their lips touched not, but had not bade adieu, as if disjoined by soft-handed slumber, and ready still past kisses to outnumber at tender eye dawn of Aurelian love. Now try to understand. He says that the lips of these two creatures, they were not in contact. The lips touched not, means that the lips of these two creatures, they were not in complete touch, but had not made adieu. Adieu means farewell. Though the lips were not touched, they were not in you can say the touch with each other, but they were also not very far away, but had not bade adieu, means the lips were not very far away, means they were very close to each other. And looking at those creatures, it seemed as if disjoined by soft handed slumber. Slumber means sleep, means it seemed that the lips got separated. Why? Because of the sleep. The two creatures, they slept, and that's why their lips were separated. Otherwise, earlier they were kissing each other. So their lips got separated only because of a slumber. And what does John Keats inform or tell in the next two lines? And ready still past kisses to outnumber a tender eye dawn of Aurelian love. Here, Aurelian stands for dawn. Dawn, do you know, sir? Do you know that when the sun rises, that is called dawn? Means he wants to say that if the lovers wake up, so if the two creatures wake up, they will again start kissing each other. And ready still past kisses to outnumber a tender eye dawn of Aurelian love. Means if the two creatures they wake up, they will again start kissing each other. That is a description of those two creatures. The winged boy I knew, but who wast thou? O happy, happy dove, is Psyche true? Means now there were two creatures who were lying on the grass. So John Keats, he identifies the one figure because he identifies the boy or the man who was lying there, because those two creatures among those means those creatures. So out of the two creatures, one was a girl and the second was a boy, means man and woman. So he recognizes the boy. Why? He recognizes the boy as Cupid. Who is Cupid? God of love. But then he looks at the second creature. What does he say? But who wast thou, O happy, happy dove? So he compares the second creature to dove. Why? Because the second creature was really very beautiful. She was beautiful like a dove. And then John Keats realizes, yes, the second creature is Psyche. Who is Psyche? The beautiful goddess of mind and soul. So this is the second scene or second stanza John Keats talks about. Now come to the third stanza. Now in third stanza, John Keats, he talks about Psyche. And he feels that Psyche is a neglected goddess. Neglected goddess means nobody worship Psyche because Psyche is a recent goddess. Earlier, she was a woman, she was a human being, but only after marrying Cupid, she became a goddess. And that's why there's no temple, there's no priest, then there are no nuns, then there are no prophets of Psyche. And what does he talk about Psyche? He says, O latest born and loveliest vision far, of all Olympus' faded hierarchy, fairer than Thebes' fair risen star, or vesper amorous glow warm of the sky. Now try to understand. Now he calls Psyche the latest goddess, the latest born goddess, because Psyche is the latest goddess. And he calls Psyche more beautiful, that is the loveliest vision for far of all Olympus faded hierarchy. Here, faded hierarchy stands for gods and goddesses. And Olympus, do you know, is the mountain where gods and goddesses live. Because in Greek mythology, it is thought that all the gods and goddesses, they live on Olympus mountain. So here, faded hierarchy stands for all the gods and goddesses living on Olympus mountain. Now, John Keats, he calls Psyche the newborn goddess, and he calls Psyche more beautiful. He calls Psyche more beautiful than all the other gods and goddesses. Fairer than Phoebe's fair risen star. Phoebe, do you know? Phoebe is the goddess of Phoebe, is another name for moon. So here, Phoebe's fair risen star, John Keats is talking about moon. And he says that Psyche is more beautiful than the moon. Or Vesper. Vesper, do you know? Evening star. Or Vesper, amorous glowworm of the sky. So through these lines, John Keats says that Psyche is more beautiful than moon or the evening star. Now, in the first four lines, John Keats, he talks about the beauty of Psyche, that Psyche is more beautiful than any other god or goddesses. Psyche is more beautiful than Phoebe, means than moon or the evening star. Now, what does he say in the next some lines? Fairer than these, though temple thou hast none, means she is more beautiful than any other god or goddesses. She's more beautiful than moon. She's more beautiful than evening star. But still, thou temple thou hast none. But still, there's no temple of a goddess Psyche. There's no temple of goddess Psyche on the earth, nor altar heaped with flowers, nor virgin choir to make to make delicious moan upon the midnight hours. Fairer than these, thou temple thou hast none, nor altar heaped with flowers, nor virgin choir to make delicious moan upon the midnight hours. Now try to understand. John Keats says that the Psyche is more beautiful, but still there's no temple of Psyche on this earth. And that's why when there's no temple, so there is no altar also. Altar, do you know? Altar is the place of worship where people go, they worship and they offer flowers. So he says that as there's no temple of Psyche on this earth, similarly, there's no altar also where people can offer flowers or can worship to goddess Psyche. No virgin choir. Choir, do you know? Choir means group of singers to make delicious moan upon the midnight hours. Similarly, as there's no temple, as there's no altar, similarly in this world, there are also not group of singers. There are also not, you can say that priest. There are also not virgin men who offer prayers to Psyche. Means there's no temple, there's no altar, there are no priests. So there are no priests, there are no virgin men, there are no chaste men and women who offer prayer to Psyche. That's the meaning of these four lines. Now what does he says? No voice, no lute, no pipe, no incense sweet from chain swung censer teeming. No shrine, no groove, no oracle, no heat, a pale mouth prophet dreaming. Now try to understand. Teeming, dreaming, sweet heat, rhyming scheme is there. He says that for Psyche, there's no voice, means there's no priest to sing in praise of Psyche. No lute, no pipe. It means there are no musical instrument. There are no magician to sing in praise of Psyche. No incense sweet from chain swung censer teeming. Chain swung censer means you can say that a utensil, or you can say that a tool where we burn incense in our home also, in India also, in temple or in our home also, that when we burn incense, so there's a proper thing to hold that incense. Incense, do you know agarbatti? That is called incense. So similarly, he says that as Psyche has no temple, there's no altar, there are no priests, there are no magician to sing in her praise. Similarly, there's no incense holder. There's no incense holder, means even incense is also not lit in order to praise Psyche or to sing in praise of Psyche. No shrine. Shrine means a holy place. He says that Psyche has no holy place. No groove, no oracle. Oracle, do you know? Bhavishya Vakta. In English, we call it soothsayer. And prophet, do you know? Prophet means a saint. So he says that for Psyche, there's no sacred place, there's no soothsayer, there's no prophet, or there's no, you can say that saint of Psyche. No heat of pale mouth prophet dreaming. And what happens, do you know? Do you know that each and every god and goddesses has several devotees? Here, heat stand for passionate. And do you know those devotee? They are really very, you can say that staunch. So they can't hear anything about their God. They start fighting with you. They start arguing with you. They are very enthusiastic. So similarly, he says that for Psyche, there's no sacred place, there's no saint, there's no soothsayer, there's no enthusiastic soothsayer. Means Psyche, she is a neglected goddess that he presents through this stanza. Now come to the next stanza, and now John Keats, he decides to serve Psyche. He says that he will become Psyche's priest. He will sing in praise of Psyche. He will create a temple of Psyche, not on the earth, but in his mind. And then he will decorate the temple with all the beauties of the world. Now, what does he say? Oh, brightest. Again, John Keats is addressing Psyche and calling Psyche the most beautiful, brightest. Thou too late for antique woes, too late for the fond believing lyre, where holy were the haunted forest bough, holy the air, the water, and the fire. Means he says that Psyche is a recent goddess, and that's why she has become the goddess in the time when people have lost faith in holy thing. When holy were the haunted forest bough, means earlier people were religious, they believed each and everything holy. They considered forest as holy, they considered air as holy, they considered water, air, fire holy. Means people, they had faith in each and everything, they believed each and everything a holy thing. But he says that now, as she is the recent goddess, she has become goddess in the time when people have lost faith in all these things. Now they no longer consider them holy. O brightest, thou too late for antique woes, too late for the fond believing liar. So what does he wants to say through these 4 lines? He says that Psyche is a recent goddess, and that's why she has become goddess in the time when people have lost faith in God, when the people don't believe in the holy things. Earlier they used to believe, earlier they used to consider forest, air, water, fire, they used to consider all these as holy. But now people, they don't believe these things are holy. Means now the people are not so much religious. They have lost their faith in God and religion. But what does he say? John Keats says, but he is religious. He can see Psyche. What does he say? From happy pities, thy lucent fans means wings, lucent means bright, thy lucent fans Fluttering among the faint Olympians, I see and sing by my own eyes inspired. By my own eyes inspired. So let me be thy choir and make a moan upon the midnight hours. Thy voice, thy lute, the pipe, thy incense sweet, from swinged censer teeming, thy shrine, thy groove, thy oracle, thy heat, a pale mouth prophet dreaming. Means now John Keats he requests goddess Psyche to allow her to allow John Keats to become his priest, and that's why he says, thy lucid fans fluttering among the faint Olympians I see. Means John Keats says that still he is able to see the bright wings of Psyche fluttering where? On the Olympus mountain. Means he can still see Psyche. He still believes in Psyche. That's the meaning of this line. He's not talking literally that he can see the bright wings of the Psyche. No. What is the meaning of this line? He wants to say that he still has faith in Psyche. He believes in Psyche and sing by my own eyes inspired. And that's why he says that he's writing this poem with his own inspiration, because he still believes in Psyche, and that's why he is writing this poem with his own inspiration. And that's why he says that now Psyche should allow him to become her priest. Now he will become her priest. He will sing song. Sing song means he will write poems in honor of her Psyche. So let me be thy choir. Choir means a singer, group of singer. And make a moan upon the midnight hours. Means he requests Psyche to allow him to become her saint, to become her priest, so that he may sing songs in her praise, so that he may write poems in Psyche's praise. And that's why he says that he will become thy voice, thy lute, the pipe, thy incense sweet from swinged censer teeming. Means he will become Psyche's voice, means he will sing or write poems. Thy lute, thy pipe means her magician, means he will become her magician. He will lit incense. He will lit incense where? On an incense holder. What does he want to say? The meaning of all these lines means thy shrine, the grove, thy oracle, thy heat, a pale mouth prophet dreaming. He wants to say that now he will become his priest, and now he will sing songs in praise of Psyche. He will write poems in her praise. He will lit incense. He will offer flowers. He will become her oracle. He will become her saint. And he will speak. Thy heat. He will have the heat. Means now he will speak enthusiastically for Psyche. So that's the meaning of these 6 lines, that now John Keats, he wants to become Psyche's priest. And that's why he, in the last stanza, he says that he will build a temple, not on the earth, but in his mind. He will build a temple of goddess Psyche in his mind, and he will decorate the temple with all the beauties of the world. But as he says, yes, I will be thy priest and build a fane in some untrodden region of my mind, where branched thoughts, new grown with pleasant pain, instead of pine, shall murmur in the wind. Now try to understand. Yes, I will be thy priest. John Keats says that he will become Psyche's priest and built a fane. Fane means temple. In some untrodden means unexplored, unknown. Region means area. What is the meaning of these two lines? In the first two lines, John Keats says that he will become her priest, and he will build a temple. Where? In his mind, in some unexplored area of his mind. Means he will build a temple of Psyche in the pure area of his mind. Or simple words, he will build a temple in his mind. He will build Psyche's temple. So what will happen in the mind then when the temple is created or temple has been created? Where branched thoughts, new grown with pleasant pain, instead of pines shall murmur in the wind. Instead of pines, here stands for pine trees. Here pines word is symbolic. Pine stand for ordinary thoughts. Get that? The place where the temple will be created. Do you know? On that place, ordinary thoughts will not be generated. Instead of pine shall murmur in the wind. Where branched thoughts. Here branched stands for new and intricate thoughts. New and complex thought. Branched means new grown with pleasant pain. And these thoughts, some thoughts will be of happiness, some thoughts will be of painful. Means you know that life is full of sorrows and suffering. It is a combination of happiness and sorrow. And that's why he's talking about both those emotions. He says that the area where temple will be created, so there will be new and intricate thoughts. Intricate thoughts which will be generated there, will be generated there. Why? For both pleasurable and painful events. Instead of pine shall murmur in the wind means those thoughts, they will not be ordinary like pine trees. No, they will be creative, they will be imaginative. So in other words, through the first four lines, John Keats, he wants to say that he will build a temple of goddess Psyche in his mind, and there ordinary thoughts will not be generated. There will be new creative and intellectual thoughts. Now, in the next four lines, he presents a wonderful picture of nature. He presents a wonderful picture of nature. First of all, we will discuss the literal meaning, and then we will talk about the symbolic meaning. Far, far around shall those dark clustered trees fledge the wild, rigid mountains steep by steep, and there by Japhia, streams and birds and bees, the moss lane dryer shall be lulled to sleep. Now he presents a beautiful natural scene. He talks about a natural scene where there are dark clustered trees. Means the trees are intertwined. Means they are forming you can say that a shadow, a cover. He talks about a place that where there are dark clustered groups, means trees are arranged in a group. Trees are intertwined. It means they are forming a shadow. And the tree and those trees, they are covering. Fledge means cover. Means those trees are so vast, so big, so intermixed that they have covered. They have covered what? The wild, rigid mountains. Wild, rigid means natural mountains. Means mountains which are wild and rigid. That those trees have covered the mountains. And do you know, there in that place, Japhia means breeze. Breeze flow there. Streams flow there. Sorry, breeze blow there. Streams flow there. Birds sings there. And bees hum there. That means he presents such a beautiful natural scene where there are so many trees. And those trees, they have covered the mountains, and there breeze flows, streams blow, birds sing, bees hum, and in such a natural scene, Dryad, do you know? That is called the forest spirit. That is again a reference to the Greek myth, because in Greece, people think that in the forest live a spirit whom they call Dryad, forest spirit. कहता है, in such beautiful scene, Dryad means the forest spirit, she will sleep. She will sleep. So that is a natural scene. And actually, that natural scene he is talking about in his mind. He says that in his mind, where the temple is created, he will create such a beautiful place. He will create such a beautiful place where goddess Psyche will live in enjoyment. The most slain dryad shall be lulled to sleep. He says that in the mind where the temple is created, where the creative ideas will take birth, and those creative ideas, they will present, they will imagine such beautiful pictures in the mind. He's talking about the creative ideas, the imaginative ideas, they will imagine it, they will create such beautiful pictures where in the mind. And what is the next some lines, which is a part of the last stanza? And in the midst of this wide quietness means where there's a quietness, where there's a calmness, and he says that in that place, a rose sanctuary will I dress. Sanctuary means temple. He says that he will create a temple. Dress means decorate. And he says that he will decorate that temple. He will decorate that temple with rose. He will decorate with that temple. How? With the wreathed trellis of a working brain. Here, trellis of a working brain means creative ideas. He says that he will create a temple there, and he will decorate the temple with rose. He will decorate the temple with creative ideas. And those ideas, they will be new. That's why he says, with birds and bells and stars without a name. Without a name means creative. These birds, bells, and stars, they stand for feeling, emotions, and ideas. He says that in that place, he will build a temple of Psyche, and then he will decorate that temple with flowers, with creative ideas, feelings, and emotions. Those feelings and emotions, they will be without any name, means they will be creative, they will be new. Or what does he says? With all the gardener fancy ever could feign, who breeding flowers will never breed the same. Now, what is the meaning of this one? Try to understand. He compares imagination with the gardener. As a gardener decorates the garden, similarly, he says that his imagination will decorate the temple. With all the gardener fancy ever could feign, who breeding flowers will never breed the same. He says that like a gardener, his imagination will decorate that temple, that temple with new flowers. But he also promises Psyche that the flowers with which her temple will be decorated, the flowers, they will not be same the next day. Because you know that the ideas, they keep on changing. The ideas, they don't remain the same. And that's why here flowers, he is talking about the ideas. He says that he will think creative ideas. So in that place of mind, there will be creative ideas. He will think new ideas, and those ideas, they will not be same. In other words, John Keats is requesting Psyche to make a permanent place in his mind, because Psyche is the goddess of mind and soul. So if the psyche makes a permanent place in his mind, so definitely creative and imaginative ideas will automatically get generated in the poet's mind, in John Keats' mind, and with the help of those ideas, John Keats will go on writing good poem after good poem. So don't take this line, this stanza or this poem literally. Actually, he is not saying that he will create a temple in his mind. Rather, he is requesting the psyche to make a permanent place in his mind. Why? Because Psyche is the goddess of mind and soul. And if Psyche makes a permanent place in his mind, then what will happen? That in his mind, there will be creative ideas. And birds, bells, and star means there will be creative ideas, creative feelings, creative emotions, and those creative ideas and feelings, they will never the same. Means every time there will be new ideas. But literally, he says that he will create a temple there. He will decorate the flowers. He will decorate the temples with creative ideas. He will decorate the temple with new flowers. Means every day there will be new types of flowers. The types of flower will not be repeated. So you can guess that he's talking about the creative ideas. And what does he says? And there shall be for thee all soft delight that shadow thought can win. Means he says that in that temple, Psyche will enjoy all delights. What will be there? There will be a bright torch and a casement ope at night to let the warm love in. Here, casement stand for window. He says that in that temple, Psyche will enjoy all the delights, and in that temple, there will be torch and there will be a window, and that window will be kept open. Why? Here, love stand for Cupid, so that her husband, her lover, could enter through window and they can enjoy. So that's this poem that is ought to Psyche. But in the last stanza, we come to know that no doubt John Keats, he is saying, he is stressing on creating a temple of goddess Psyche in his mind. But actually, he wants to request Psyche to make a permanent place in his mind. So if Psyche makes a permanent place in his mind, so definitely there will be new and creative ideas, and he will be able to write good poem after another. But he describes this by building a temple of goddess Psyche in his mind. So that this poem ought to Psyche. I hope that you will be able to understand this poem.